Hello, everybody. My name is Madeline Wester, and I would like to welcome everyone to this important conference of the Center for Political Innovation. Please rise and raise your right hand for the CPI Pledge of Unity. The pledge is found in the folder that you were given at the front. And please repeat after me. We pledge that we shall remember this unity. We pledge that we shall remember this unity. Forged at the end of the Second World War. Forged at the end of the Second World War. Not only today, not only this week, this year, but always.
Not only today, not only this week, this year, but always.
Until we have built the world we have dreamed of and fought for.
Until we have built the world we have dreamed of and fought for.
We pledge ourselves to build the unity of the people of the world.
We pledge ourselves to build the unity of the people of the world.
All races, all colors, all nationalities, all beliefs.
All races, all colors, all nationalities, all beliefs.
To eliminate all traces of fascism from the earth.
To eliminate all traces of fascism from the earth.
To build a deep and sincere international friendship.
To build a deep and sincere international friendship
among the peoples of the world.
Among the peoples of the world.
To keep a just, lasting peace.
To keep a just, lasting peace.
To eliminate want, frustration, and enforced idleness.
To eliminate want, frustration, and enforced idleness.
We have come to confirm the unity of all people.
We have come to confirm the unity of all people.
To salute our comrades who have died.
To salute our comrades who have died.
And pledge our word that skillful hands, keen brains, and bold enthusiasm.
And pledge our word that skillful hands, keen brains, and bold enthusiasm
shall never more be wasted in war.
Shall never more be wasted in war.
Thank you. Please remain standing for the Internationale, followed by the U.S. National Anthem. And now I will turn things over to the founder and director of the Center for Political Innovation, journalist and political analyst, Caleb Maupin.
All right, everyone can hear me? Very good, very good. Well, there's been a lot of buzz about this meeting because we are planning to talk about Russia, and we will talk about Russia. But we're mainly here at this conference to talk about America. We love America. To us, America is not a flag, it's not the military, it's not the White House, the Congress, or even the Constitution. To us, America is a beautiful swath of land between Canada and Mexico, and most importantly, it is made up of hundreds of millions of working people. People who love their community, love their neighborhood, love their families, and just want a decent life. America is made up of many different peoples from many different origins. the Native Americans who suffered horrendous genocide and land theft, the millions of black people brought to this country through the horrendous transatlantic slave trade, the Irish Americans who died building the railroads, the Italians, the Slavs, the Eastern Europeans who worked in the steel mills and the packing houses getting poverty wages. We have Latinos and Chicanos, the Arab Americans who came here looking for a better life, the Asian Americans, Pacific Islanders, the Southeast Asian community. America is not a nation. A nation would be a group that has a common territory, a common language, and a common culture. America is not a nation, it is a country. And it was a country that was synthetically created by the emergence of capitalism. The global imperialist system and its hunger for better profits and international trade brought hundreds of millions of people from every corner of the world to one landmass in the northern part of the hemisphere. And despite the hardships and the bigotry that has gone on, we can see in America some of the hope of human beings overcoming the deep-seated divisions, seeing what they have in common. And that's why the wave of anti-Russian hysteria that is currently taking place right now, banning Dostoevsky, banning the Disney movie Anastasia, is so horrendous and disturbing. And the same for the anti-Asian hate crimes that we've seen in the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic. This is not who we are as a people, and this isn't coming from average Americans. This is the result of propaganda from CNN, from Fox, from Twitter. Deep down, we the American people are better than this. And when I say that we love America, I can't say this without pointing out something that really should be obvious. The international ruling class, the big oil monopolists, the international bankers, the Pentagon contractors, the war hawks, and the prostitute politicians, they do not love America. They have sold this country down the river in their trade deals. They have driven down wages and living standards, and they are currently unleashing inflation. They've set up a system of prisons for profit. They've created an epidemic of addiction, pushing doctors to overprescribe opioid medications. They've created a situation where roads in this country are crumbling. Last year, in a particularly cold winter, we saw the power grid here in Texas collapse, leaving all kinds of working families out in the cold. We love America, but Wall Street does not love America.
Yes.
We at the Center for Political Innovation, we represent the interests of America's working class, the people who do the work that makes this country turn every day, and the people who have been stabbed in the back over and over again by both Democrats and Republicans. We are here to say that our enemy is not in Iran, or Venezuela, or China, or Russia, or Cuba, or Nicaragua, or Syria. Our enemy is on Wall Street, our enemy is in the Pentagon, and our enemy is in the London Stock Exchange. That is who the enemy of the American people is.
Yes.
These forces of wealth and greed have created a global financial system, raking in super profits, keeping the world poor so that they can stay rich. And sure, for a long time, America had a comfortable middle class. For some of us who were white, there was a certain amount of opportunity. But now, in the age of high-tech artificial intelligence, they've decided that they no longer need the American dream. The United States is being dropped down to third world conditions. Life expectancy is falling, infant mortality is up. We've seen so many communities filled up with empty, boarded up, foreclosed homes. Water is not being properly purified. This poverty is being created by abundance. In systems of the past, people were hungry because there were food shortages. People were homeless because there were shortages of housing. But only under capitalism, the system of profits in command, do we have this problem of poverty created by abundance. People are homeless because there are too many houses. People are hungry because there is too much food. We, the American people, the multinational, multiracial working class, who have built this country, are now being told that we no longer have a seat at the table. We stand outcast and starving amid the wonders we have made. We built this country, but it no longer has a place for us. We are expected to just sit back and starve, die from opioids, commit suicide, get locked up in the world's largest prison system, spend our lives in low-wage, short-term service sector jobs, watch our brothers and sisters come home in body bags in foreign wars. Well, today at this conference, we've come together to reject their high-tech dark ages and say very loudly, we will not be canceled. Why do they hate Russia? Why do they hate China? They hate them because at the beginning of the 20th century, both of these countries were impoverished, poor countries, underdeveloped by Western monopolists. They hate them because they broke free from that. It was Stalin, with his 5-year economic plans, that turned Russia into an industrial superpower. The Soviet Union saved the world from fascism, wiped out illiteracy, electrified the whole country, invented LED lights, invented space travel, and had tremendous achievements in science and technology. And the Chinese Communist Party has led China to become the second largest economy in the world, 800 million lifted out of poverty, the fastest high-speed railway in the world, the biggest telecommunications manufacturer in the world's largest hydroelectrical power plants, and amazing achievements on the road to fusion energy. They did this by breaking out of the global capitalist system, and they did this by organizing the economy to serve public good and not the profits of a wealthy few. In the 1990s, when the Soviet Union fell, the USA loved Russia. Russia's economy was in collapse, and people were starving. Boris Yeltsin was Bill Clinton's buddy, and the USA meddled in the 1996 elections to make sure that Yeltsin got reelected as he was wrecking the country with austerity and shock therapy neoliberal economics. Directed, of course, by George Soros. But things in Russia started changing in 1999 when Putin came into office. He restructured Russia's economy to be centered around government-controlled oil and natural gas resources. He used the energy revenue to rebuild the industries of Russia, and he made Russia once again a strong economy. And that is why US media demonizes Russia. That is why the US government toppled the government of Ukraine in 2014 with the Euro-Maidan coup and installed a fanatically anti-Russian regime in Kiev. That's why the US government backed Ukraine as they killed over 14,000 Russian-speaking people in Donetsk and Lugansk over the past 8 years with drone strikes, with a food blockade, and other crimes. And that's why they now portray Russia trying to bring an end to an 8-year war as somehow some kind of criminal invasion. And I brought this picture with me because people need to see this. Because, I saw a CNN reporter claim that Ukraine was a peaceful country until now. Well, this is the monument in Donbass to all the children who have died of the shelling and the bombing being carried out by the US-backed regime in Kiev. 14,000 plus people dead, children who have died. It hasn't been a peaceful country. The people of Donbass have been subject to 8 years of bombing, 8 years of shelling, 8 years of a food blockade. And Russia is now moving in to protect them and bring an end to this. The Wall Street money sharks hate Russia. They hate China, Cuba, Venezuela, Iran, and many other countries because they have governments that stand up to the international bankers and their monopolistic corporations. They have governments that control the banks, factories, and industries and force the economy to work for the good of the nation. With central planning, these countries have made sure that growth is not held back by the irrationality of greed and the imperialistic policies of neoliberalism. What we need here in the United States is not more privatizations, not more cutbacks, not more austerity, not more culture wars and symbolic woke makeovers of empire, and definitely not more warmongering and hatred for the peoples of other lands. What we need in America right now is a government of action that will fight for working families. I charge the government of the United States with dereliction of duty, with criminal neglect, with failure to serve the people and provide for the general welfare. The Center for Political Innovation is a think tank dedicated to cultivating a future beyond capitalism. We have a 4-point plan to rescue the country from the disaster. We want a mass jobs program to rebuild the heartland of America, new high-speed railway, new schools and universities, new power plants, new roads, and new bridges. We want this country's oil and gas and coal and timber to be public property and organized and managed for the good of the country, so that the profits from our natural resources go back into the public budget, not into the pockets of Wall Street bankers. We want a banking system that's under the control of the public. No more Wall Street ripoffs, no more Federal Reserve schemes. The purse strings of the country's credit should be in the hands of local communities in the federal, state, and local level. We want an economic bill of rights, the right of all Americans to jobs and education and health care. And this is what Franklin Delano Roosevelt, one of our greatest presidents, called for in his final State of the Union address, an economic bill of rights. And let's be clear, there is nothing un-American about socialism. Behind me we have Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln had a communist general in the Union Army, August Willig. During the U.S. Civil War, the Republican Party newspaper in New York City, the New York Tribune, hired Karl Marx as its London correspondent. And Karl Marx praised Abraham Lincoln, calling him the single-minded son of the working class, rescuing an enchained race and carrying out the Second American Revolution. The U.S. Pledge of Allegiance was written by a socialist named Francis Bellamy, who was also a Baptist minister. The first person to use the word socialism in the English language was Robert Owen, who built a socialist community in Indiana called New Harmony and gave lectures on socialism to joint sessions of the U.S. Congress. And when we move towards socialism in America, it won't be Venezuelan socialism, Russian socialism, Korean socialism. Every country has its own unique history and conditions. In China, they call their system socialism with Chinese characteristics. And the only type of socialism that will ever work in America will be some form of socialism with American characteristics. American socialism won't be pessimistic. It won't simply be a welfare state. It won't be depressed. It won't be a resentful complaint of screw this, give me some free stuff. American socialism will be about unleashing human creativity, growth, innovation, hard work, and restoring the boldness and courage that once enabled this country to have great achievements despite the injustices that have gone on. Socialism in America means capturing the optimism of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman, Cesar Chavez, Elizabeth Gurley Flynn, Gus Hall, William C. Foster, Joe Hill, Eugene Debs, and so many great revolutionaries who have always stood against injustice on our soil. We, the progressives, the radicals, the anti-racists, and the anti-imperialists have always been a part of this country. And we will not surrender the entire history and legacy of America to Donald Trump and Joe Biden. We are the true patriots, because only socialism and dismantling this global imperialist system can save America. And it is this vision and this tone that I open up our very important conference today. We have a great panel of speakers who are going to give us messages. You'll be hearing from me again in our second panel. But before we have our speakers come up, we're actually going to have a performance by the great classical pianist, a member of the Center for Political Innovation and part of the Students and Youth for a New America organization, Daniel Sajeda. So Daniel Sajeda is going to play some music.